Spoken Wheel. This is the podcast for the everyday cyclist. I'm Peter Janunas. I own Gears 2 Cycles in Riverside, Illinois, and I'm joined today with Chris Valadez.
Yeah, Chris Valadez, here from Cycle Brookfield. As Pete mentioned, we are the Spoken Wheel podcast. We are very happy to bring a guest on today. Today's guest is Christine Hubert. Christine is also known as Powered by Cheesecake. She has grown a following in the last few years. Her Instagram page has grown. She has done a WBEZ NPR interview recently as well. And Christine is a very inspirational cyclist that we would love to hear more from. And we are welcome to have you here today. So Christine, thanks for joining us on our podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to have this opportunity.
Great. Well, Christine, we invited you here today because Pete and I were both very excited to hear your story. I think we both universally, when Pete and I were putting together guests for this podcast as the everyday cyclists, as this is, we both, I think, universally said at the same time, we got to get Cheesecake on. We were like, Cheesecake needs to be here because what you've shown on your Instagram post, from what Pete and I can both see, is that you go out and ride probably just about every day, and you do a lot of, from what I understand, solo riding. So maybe just tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to get out and ride, and why you ride every day the way that you do.
Yeah. So it was really the pandemic that got me back into it. Our office was closed. I was working from home. My husband's office closed. He was working from home. And we were alone in this quiet house 24/7. We couldn't travel. We couldn't see friends and family. And it really started to affect my mental health. And I was trying to find a way just to get out and decompress. And I thought, I've always kind of enjoyed riding a bike. So I decided to buy a new bike. And it was in the fall. So I looked into getting a bike that was a little more sturdy, that I could ride in winter conditions or maybe on some trails. And I ended up with a hardtail mountain bike. And I'm fortunate enough that I live kind of on the edge of civilization, where there's to the east urban sprawl, and then to the west these beautiful paved country roads with no traffic. So one morning I just took the mountain bike out there and started riding, and I couldn't believe the difference it made. It was exactly what I was looking for. It allowed me, once I got away from those distractions and those stressors, I could breathe. And once I could breathe, I could look around and really absorb what was out there. And I realized these boring cornfields right outside my house were actually beautiful.
You're very true. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful roads that are here in Illinois, which are very interesting to ride, specifically when you don't have an agenda, I think. And so, you can get onto these long distance kind of sprawling roads pretty quickly. And I know, Christine, that you've done a lot of, like, I think you do a lot of solo rides, and we've had a conversation before this recording, of course, and you did say, getting out to do a solo ride is very therapeutic for you. I know, especially during the pandemic, from getting out and riding either with groups or just sometimes by myself, it was been really refreshing and rewarding and almost necessary, to be very honest. My family was like, have you gotten out on a ride today? Because you're a little punch drunk. And I'm like, yeah, get out and get on a ride. I mean, maybe tell us more like what maybe these long distance country open road solo rides do for you as like maybe a therapy or mental health even.
Yeah. So what they do for me, really, it's a number of things. It's playtime for me. When I don't have the distractions of the real world, I can just go and do whatever I want. It's complete freedom. It's very liberating. So if I want to go take a road that looks interesting, I just turn down the road. If I want to stop and have a long lunch break by a picturesque barn, I can do that. And once I started riding out there, I just wanted to see more and more. So I started riding farther and farther and worked my way up to doing solo century rides. So this week, in fact, my bike Gertie.
You name your bike as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how did you come up with Gertie? Where did that come from?
I am not sure. I just wanted something that was kind of quirky and fun, but a little, off kilter, kind of like I am. So Gertie's stuck, and we just, in fact, this week we hit our 6,000th mile together.
Wow,
that's fantastic.
That's amazing.
That's
yeah,
great.
in just a little over 3 years.
That's great. Yeah. So how did you celebrate that? So your nickname is Powered by Cheesecake. Did you like get a candle on Cheesecake? What did you do to celebrate your 6,000th mile?
I actually celebrated with an Epsom salt bath and a bottle of wine.
Not quite cheesecake, but maybe just as good. All right. That's amazing. 6,000 miles. That's no small feat, to be very honest, right? I know Pete and I ride a lot, and I'm sure Pete, you probably have a lot of bikes that you've ridden 6,000 miles on, but to do that on a hardtail mountain bike solo, that's quite amazing. I can't imagine how rewarding that must feel to be. You purchased a bike 3 years ago and 6,000 mile reward. That's fantastic.
So maybe explain to people what that don't know what a hardtail mountain bike is.
Sure. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of knowledge on bikes either. It's something I'm learning as I'm going along. But a hardtail mountain bike is it's a full mountain bike has suspension across the whole bike, where a hardtail mountain bike, you have suspension only in the front. And I've also made some modifications to the bike because I do have health issues that affect my back muscles. So some of the things I've done is I put a razor in for the handlebars so I can sit more upright. I have bar ends on there, but where most people tilt the bar ends forward, I tilt them backwards so that I, again, can sit upright on those long 100-mile rides. I have also put gravel tires on it, so I've got a nice smooth center to roll on the road, but I still have some grip on the side. And then, of course, racks for all my gear and water and food that I need to bring with me.
And cheesecake.
And cheesecake, of course.
Yeah, there needs to be cheesecake apparently, right? Every ride. So that leads us to a funny, so you named your bike, but where did you come up with the name Powered by Cheesecake? Because like I said, Pete and I were both we were like, when we said like cheesecake is better come to our podcast, where did the name Cheesecake derive from? How did you come across that?
It's not the most exciting story, but one day I came back from a really long ride and I was just exhausted. So I was rummaging around our refrigerator trying to find something to restore my energy. And we had some cheesecake in there, so I ate a slice. And then not too long after that, I felt completely re-energized, and I thought, this is magical.
Well, yeah, cheesecake is magical. Yeah, the sugar, the cheese. Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't know who wouldn't feel re-energized by a big slice. Was it like was it a decadent piece of cheesecake, or was it like just where was it? Do you have a favorite cheesecake? I'm really curious. I'm kind of hungry right now too. Cheesecake.
I at the time I couldn't tell you what it was because I devoured it. So, but there's a great cheesecake place by my house, Steve Broch's Cheesecake Shop, and he makes the most amazing cheesecakes. He's creative, he loves what he does, and he's great with the customers. So he actually sent you some cheesecake today.
Oh man. Okay, well, so for all our viewers out there, sorry you're not here in studio to have cheesecake with us, but maybe come on, and maybe we'll have some cheesecake for you next time that you're on with us. But that's very nice. Thanks for bringing some cheesecake as well. That's really fun. So maybe Christine, tell us a little bit more. Do you have any other? You said 6,000 miles you hit with your bike. Was that a goal, or do you have any other goals that you're trying to do as a solo cyclist?
I started doing solo century rides mostly because I enjoy the adventure and just exploring. And so in the course of the years, I've done 6 of them. But I've never topped my personal best of 111 miles in a day.
111. That's a big distance for experience. I know, like I will do 100 miles sometimes, and that's not an easy feat. That's quite amazing. You could do that solo too,
especially on the bike that you're riding on.
Right.
Yeah. And also I'm out in the middle of nowhere. The towns that are out there don't have resources, so I've got to carry all my water, all my food, any bike toolkit, anything that I need to get me by for the whole day. So it can be tough. I haven't, like I said, topped that mileage since, but it's on the radar for this year.
Good.
But I found really the best thing right now is to not put that pressure on myself. The last century ride I did was actually my second in a single week.
Wow.
And the first one that week was fabulous because I didn't plan it. It was, I just went out for a long ride, had everything I need. And after 40 miles, I thought, I'm just going to go for 100. And it was great. And so then I got cocky and I'm like, I'm going to go back out this week and I'm going to do 120 miles. And that was not the plan. It did not work out. It was the hardest ride I've ever done. And I realized, though, it's because the mentality I had going into it wasn't what I started riding a bike for to begin with, which was to enjoy myself and enjoy the journey, not the destination. So I'm not going to put that pressure on myself, but it's in the back of my head.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to find some new places to ride to, check out some old favorites. Really, what I love about those rides, even the tough ones, there's no bad ride. every time I have a ride that's rough, I learn from it and I grow and evolve. And, all of that I've learned on my bike rides has carried over into the rest of my life. I have to dig deep and find that strength because I am by myself to get through those moments. It's made me mentally more strong. It's given me lots more confidence in myself and improve my problem solving skills, my ability to adapt to changing situations.
Yes.
And that carries over into my relationships with my friends and my family, into my job. I honestly can say that riding a bike has truly changed my life and made me a better person.
Well, that's really inspiring,
That's
Christine.
awesome.
I know, like Pete and I, we mentioned this already. That we call ourselves everyday cyclists. We yes, we like to ride races and big group rides as well. But I know for myself, if I don't get out a few times a week, I try to get out every day. But schedules and work unfortunately sometimes get involved, and you do have to pay the bills somehow. But I do know that when I get out on the bike, and I feel so much better. I can focus. I can do what I need to do. I can spend the time focusing my attention on work or other activities as well. I know, writing is a very therapeutic portion of that. Maybe you touched on this a little bit, but have you found yourself, maybe in other successes in your life where you are seeing that you can equate that directly to some bike rides? Like, have you ever completed a bike ride and said, wow, I can now focus my attention on something, or you accomplished a work task, or maybe in a personal task? Is there something that you've seen come out from these long distance rides that you've done alone?
Yes, actually, I think the thing, especially more recently, that has really helped me is when I work through those tough moments, especially like mentally and physically. Like I'm out there, I'm battling, 30-mile-per-hour headwinds. I have to dig deep, but also remind myself this is just a moment. I'm going to
Yes.
get through it. Dealing with chronic health issues, I've had moments where I've had really bad low days, but I reflect on my bike rides and those tough moments on my rides, and I think of the same philosophy that I had in those moments, trying just to relax, pull up that deep strength, and
Yeah.
get through those moments and power through and know that this is not it. Tomorrow's going to be better, and I would say that's probably the most valuable thing, especially recently, dealing with that
That's
illness and the ups and downs of that is those, finding that inner strength and confidence in myself and my body.
that's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know Pete. Maybe you could probably talk on this a little more, but having the idea of sort of the athleticism that goes with cycling, I think a lot of people get sort of sucked into, you need to be an athlete, you need to be fit into a certain way, but I know it's partially mental, right? I mean, a lot of what you do, not only if it's a cycling or you have other activities that you do outside of cycling, believe it or not, but a lot of it goes into some mental. You have to be mentally focused, and it allows you to problem solve. So maybe we could talk a little bit about, how that helps
I know
from a mental
when I'm
perspective.
out riding, I try. It's tough now that I own a bike shop, but I try to not think about all the other stuff. I try not to think about all the distractions I have going on. I think about riding my bike and enjoying the bike, seeing the sights, seeing wherever I'm riding, and just enjoying the time out there, forgetting about work, forgetting about whatever else I had going on in my life at the time, all the problems or good things, whatever. But yeah, it is. I think cycling or any sports, it's so mental. I mean, I've met a lot of cyclists that are super strong, super great, but they just mentally couldn't do it well, and so it's a tough sport. Even if it's whether cycling or basketball or whatever, it's a very mental sport.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think that's part of the idea of, about getting out every day and challenging yourself mentally. That is, I always try to tell people who ask, like, wow, you can do, like Christine did 6,000 miles on her bike. Pete and I ride every day. Sometimes I tell people, I'm like, no, I just went on a quick 20-mile bike ride. And people are like, 20 miles? That's insane. How do you do 20 miles in a day? And usually it's usually because of the mentally overtaking. I know sometimes I'm out in the first 5 or 6 miles and I just want to turn around sometimes. I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way, that, turning around from riding a bike like that, if it feels like, almost insurmountable to be able to, do something. We have a little bit of a mic issue we're going to take care of. So put some attention on me for a second. I'll talk about how wonderful it feels to ride the first 5 miles, but how beautiful it is after once I get that sort of that warm up period and I get over my brain, right? My brain needs to turn itself off for just a moment. And then once I get past the 5th, 6th, 7th mile, all of a sudden next thing you know, I'm in the 20th mile, I'm in the 30th mile, and I'm sure probably with you, Christine, that probably feels the same. I mean, maybe tell us about, like, especially starting out solo. I know, like, so part of my motivation is also doing things that are with groups, or maybe even doing group rides or some sort of distance planned ride. But getting out for a solo ride definitely takes a little bit of a mental challenge, and you have to psych yourself up, and and if you don't know the distance you're going to go, maybe even talk to us about, like, how do you prep and plan, not just mentally, but what do you do to kind of prep your body, maybe your bike or your gear and stuff that you do for a longer distance ride. Or maybe you don't know it's a long distance ride. Maybe you think it's going to be 20 miles and it winds up being a century ride. Maybe tell us how you sort of prep into that mindset a little bit more.
Sure. I think first and foremost, I don't get hung up on mileage or speed. I just make sure that I have everything with me that I would need for a day. That way I'm not limited. If I'm out there having a great time and it's a beautiful day, I don't have to turn around because I ran out of water. But I do, in terms of my body and prepping, having the chronic illness, I have to do a little more prep. So one thing I really make sure of is that I always have electrolytes when I'm out there, even shorter rides. So I like electrolyte tablets.
Do you have a favorite you like to talk about? Noon, okay.
Noon tabs, watermelon. Send me some.
All right,
I love them.
Pete and I always talk about, like, what's our favorite. It's not cheesecake. You're not picking cheesecake.
No.
In your bag. Okay, well that would be a
slow
shame.
me down.
Maybe a cheesecake flavored noon or something. Oh, I don't know.
They just came out with apple cider, I think, or like some maple one, and I haven't tried it, but yeah.
All right, that sounds tasty. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Some of these flavors are get a bit funny, but I know Pete and I were just at a bike event recently, and we were like kind of touring some of the electrolyte tablets and things like that. But there's so many different variations.
Pineapple was
pineapple. That was the one we saw recently. Yeah, but yeah. So you like Noon? So you like the tablets and drop them in bottled water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And hot days, I bring a thermal, stainless steel thermal container that has ice in it,
nice.
so I can constantly add ice to my water bottles. Sunscreen. I have sunscreen packed everywhere, every bike bag, so I never forget it.
I have to admit that's a problem that I usually don't encounter. So I probably should. I take better care of my skin, but I don't. That's good. Sunscreen. That's a smart one.
Yeah. Well, out there in the country, I have nothing blocking the wind or sun. There's no shade. So those summer days, it gets hot and you bake out there. So sunscreen. Snacks, lots of snacks. I don't like to. I'll bring a sandwich on longer rides, but usually a little snack.
What kind of bologna sandwich, or what are you packing out there?
I like chicken. I actually, again, try to eat healthy because of the chronic health condition.
Sure.
So I like to do wraps. I'll make like a chicken wrap before I head out. My downfall is barbecue flavored potato chips.
Ooh,
and pickles.
Okay.
Pickles, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and then I love Cliff Bars. I like the oatmeal raisin has become my new addiction.
Sure,
that's a good one.
Yeah, so I leave those actually in my front bag, and I will just nibble on it as I'm riding.
Pete and I were just talking. He's a PB&J kind of guy.
Yeah. On longer rides, I like to make peanut butter jelly sandwiches and just put them in aluminum foil and stuff into my pockets. Hope for the best.
I have a friend that loves PB&Js as well, and she's always packing those in those are they pack nicely, and they last a while.
Yeah.
But I don't know about maybe I make them wrong. But the jelly always.
How do you make it wrong?
I don't know. I do apparently. So I need to take some tips from someone.
Things.
I mess it up every single time somehow. But so what else? Is there any other prep that you do, Christine, that you could maybe give to our listeners here today?
Yeah, I always make sure I go to bed early, get a good night's sleep.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Charge any devices that I'm taking with me in advance and bring a battery backup for them because, again, out there in the middle of nowhere, I need to have my cell phone in case there's an emergency. My husband will track me as I ride, so that way, in case I do need help, he knows exactly where I'm at. And then I know it's frowned upon, but I am riding out in the middle of nowhere with no traffic, so I do listen to music and having backup earbuds because 6 miles into a 12 hour ride, that's like to run out of my music and just be out there quiet in my own head for initial hours.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Christine, do you have like a playlist or something? Do you curate? I know we've talked a little bit about our similar music taste. So do you have a playlist you go to? Just kind of like Spotify, just whatever you do? Or
Oh
what
gosh,
do you do?
I have a million playlists and they're all scattered and across the board. 16 hours, hit shuffle, whatever.
Whatever
I'm
comes
feeling.
on.
So
Okay.
I have probably about 15 on Apple Music right now, and I just whatever mood I'm in, I kind of hit the playlist. But there's one I'm building called Sport Bean Jetpacks.
Okay.
Because I love sport beans and they power me. And there's those moments where like I have got to just dig deep and do this. So I've got like LCD sound system.
Oh, that's a
and
good one.
Metallica
Yeah.
and
Yes.
just like
Okay. High
yeah.
energy sort of stuff.
Yeah,
That's what you
yeah.
need, to get you to move you through that.
Right.
That's good. Christine, I know you did a little segment for WBEZ recently, and that was because of your time. I know you're a Ride Illinois member, and we love Ride Illinois. They're a fantastic organization advocating for not only safe roads, but kind of like what we're here to do with everyday cyclists. Maybe tell us a little bit more like why you appreciate Ride Illinois and how that maybe what's your involvement with Ride Illinois, if any?
Oh, yes. So I'm a regional action team member, and I kind of float between two regions because I'm in Kendall County. I ride my bike a lot in LaSalle and Grundy counties and along the I&M Canal Trail. So one of the things I like to do is I've been promoting the I&M as a great place for beginning cyclists or even seasoned cyclists to go ride on. And also I love their advocacy working with local municipalities and IDOT in improving roads to make them safe for cyclists. That's something out in the country I've run into where there's certain highways that have nice shoulders and other ones, the road is literally crumbling and it's not safe for me to ride on it. And I would ride a lot more places, but we just don't have a good infrastructure. So I love what they're doing and trying to make cycling safe for everybody in all towns.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think having safe roads is something that we, Pete and I are consistently advocating for. The group that I'm part of here, we're sitting here in Brookfield right now as we record this, but what we try to do here is
we're part of.
You're
I'm
part
treasurer
of.
now.
You're treasurer, Pete. Yes, this is almost might be a board meeting at this point. No, just kidding. No, but yeah, you're right. We're trying to do is advocate for safe cycling, create infrastructure to make it safe for people. I mean, we're in a little bit more of an urban sprawl here. I know, Christine, you came east, to join us here today, and to see sort of what the roads are. But advocating for safe cycling, having safe roads to do that is very important for it. So groups like Ride Illinois, I thank you for being part of that regional action team. If those who don't know, check out Ride Illinois, check out what they do for safe cycling in your region. Christine is a valuable member as a regional action team. They call them RATs. RAT. It's kind of funny. It's fun, but
it's affectionate.
It's affectionate. Yeah, it's an affectionate
nice
rat community. We're good rats here, but we definitely want to make sure that we have some version of safe cycling. So when Christine is out riding her bike solo, she can feel safe doing that doing those solo rides for long distances. So. This has been really fun, Christine. I really appreciate you coming out here and joining us on our podcast here today. I think you said you brought cheesecake. Is that true?
Oh, it's waiting for you.
It's waiting for us. Okay, man.
Turtle.
Okay. Oh boy, I am super. That is really nice. Thank you. We're going to be powered by cheesecake the entire rest of the day now. Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah. I mean, Pete's already got a sweet tooth. I mean, I probably shouldn't be saying this. You probably just brought it for him only, but that's okay. But no, we really appreciate you being on here today in our podcast. This was a lot of fun, joining, and you're such a great inspiration, I think, to everyone. I hope everyone sees what Christine has been able to accomplish. 6,000 miles on Gertie. That's a lot of miles.
And we're not stopping.
That's what we want to hear. Well, Christine, maybe when you add another 6,000 miles and you have some other inspirational stories to share, please do come back on our podcast. We'd really like to have you again.
I would love to come.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun. Well, thank you everyone for coming on to and watching us today. This was episode number 2 of the Spoken Wheel podcast. Hopefully we're bringing you content that you're appreciative and you enjoy. I had a lot of fun talking to Christine. Again, I'm Chris Valadez from Cycle Brookfield, and always with me will be...
I'm Peter Janunas.
I forget your name. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. Gears to you, gears2you.com. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. and Facebook now too.
Facebook, yeah. The Spoken Wheels all over
Spoken
the
Wheel.
place. Yeah, SPOKEN Wheel is how you can find us. Facebook, Instagram. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you care to see what we actually look like and not just listen to us. I don't know. Maybe don't subscribe to it.
And if you have someone who you want to be on the podcast, or if you have friends, or you have a subject or a topic you want to talk about, absolutely get a hold of us. That's how Christine got on here, part of it.
Yes, exactly.
And then you can follow Christine at Powered by Cheesecake, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put Christine's Instagram handle out there. She's very inspirational. Great guest to have on here today, and we can't wait to see you back for our next episode.
And she'll be sponsored by Noon.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for joining us
again.
on the Spoken Wheel.